Hello, and welcome back to my second life. My name is The Walker. Today I want to guide you through some easy habits to save more money. Personal finance is very subjective, and there are many strategies out there that can adapt better to different personalities, lifestyles, and priorities. But independently of the particular system you use or the goals you're trying to reach, one thing is for certain. A healthy personal finance landscape is usually fostered through healthy personal finance habits. Yes, healthy habits aren't only all about meditating, journaling. Eating healthy and exercising the way you manage your finances, your consistency in doing so, and the regular system of financial housekeeping can do a lot for your financial health. So before we get started about the specific personal finance habits you can implement to reach your goals, I want to talk about a powerful tool you need to master before you get into those habits. And that is intention implementation. It is usually said that consistency is key to achieve goals and implement habits into your routine, but that's easier said than done, after all. Consistency is hard to achieve because it is deeply tied to our motivation, and sometimes it's hard to find motivation within ourselves. Intention implementation acts as a bridge between the goals we are trying to achieve and our motivation. Broadly speaking, if you want to create intention implementation, you should set a habit like this: I will behavior at time in location. So now that you have this in mind, let's see your 5 personal finance habits and how you can use this formula of intention implementation to seamlessly incorporate each one of them into your routine. So habit number 1 is set a fixed day in your calendar to pay all bills. Bills pile up pretty fast and they're usually all due in different days of the month, which can make tracking them and their payment and their due date a little bit tricky. To avoid this, I set a fixed day in my calendar to pay all of my monthly bills. And this happens on my first bill's due date, which is on the 20th. I keep an Excel spreadsheet that tracks monthly bills such as house, utilities, subscriptions, gas and groceries expenses, among many others, and I keep the spreadsheet right in front of me as I work through my bills and pay them one by one using my home banking app. This usually takes me no more than 10 minutes once per month, and it relieves me of the stress of having to constantly think about those payments. So using our formula, this habit could be set up like this: I will pay all of my monthly bills at the first due date of one of my bills in my office before I start working in the morning. Your second habit is doing a major review of expenses at the end of the month. If you're starting your personal finances journey, a good way to gain more awareness about where you're spending your money is tracking those expenses every single day for 5 minutes, and then do a major review of all of those expenses by the end of the month, signaling where you want to cut back and summing those expenses by category to get a better overview of your spending habits at the end of that exercise. Set a precise goal for next month, like reducing money spent on takeout by 50%, for instance, and in your new expenses page for next month, write down that goal clearly at the top of your spreadsheet so that every single day as you log in your expenses, you are clearly reminded of what you're trying to achieve with your money by the end of the month. Okay, so once again, using our formula, this habit could look like this: I will do a major review of my expenses at the last day of each month in my kitchen while eating breakfast. Remember, of course, all of these behaviors, all of the times and locations can be completely customized and they're up to you. Habit number 3 is remembering to budget for needs first and then budget for projects. Of course, it all depends and varies from person to person, but the idea here is to always remember to budget in the first place for your usual daily spending, like food, entertainment, social activities, transportation, education, and so forth. And only after those values are set in stone, or at least partially, will you look at what remains in your account and think about projects. House renovation, purchasing a specific item, saving up for a trip, or to buy a special gift needs first, projects next. Personally, I budget for projects once a year. So this is not a recurring habit, so you should set it up in an even more specific way than the other 2 examples. So this can look like I will budget for projects every year in January during my annual expenses review in my living room. Your fourth habit is giving yourself an allowance and leave any spontaneous spending to that allowance. Consider this your pocket money, so spending habits you don't need to justify even to yourself. This money doesn't need to go into your expenses tracker because it's supposed to be guilt-free and something that you give yourself after you've paid your bills and saves for projects and saved for needs. It's supposed to be reasonable, and having money that you don't need to justify even to yourself is a good way to feel some freedom in spending without losing control of your money and jeopardizing your savings and the payment of your regular expenses. The amount of money you establish is, of course, up to you. But always remember to only deduct it from your income after usual expenses and savings. Okay. So this can look like I'll set up my allowance to a different account every single month after making my savings transfers in my home banking app. Or I will withdraw my allowance every single month after making any savings transfers after I get some coffee in my favorite coffee shop, and finally dedicate 10 minutes a day for financial housekeeping. I call daily financial housekeeping everything from checking your balance to searching your email for any bills to pay, tracking yesterday's expenses, manage bank statements, update your savings plan, and so forth. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes a day, and it's something that you can easily incorporate into your other habits, like your morning or evening routine. Staying on top of the data and ensuring you know exactly where your money is going to every single day can set you up for micromanaging your money, which in turn can be incredibly helpful to implement and reinforce personal finance habits in the long run. So your final habit can be I will run through my expenses, bills, bank statements, and email for 10 minutes every single day while taking a cup of coffee in my kitchen.